lot of people misunderstand. They think I'm okay all the time. Like she's tough, she's this, she's that. I'm a squishy soft bear inside. Got so much to say on equality.
Yeah, I know.
It's not funny.
I know.
Don't get me wrong. I can be a hothead. You know, I'm continually betraying myself for people who would never do the same for me.
Welcome to Under the Surface. I'm your host, Anneli Maley. We are pumped by Reebok, and I'm here today with Sophie Cachia. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I've been such a huge fan of your podcast, and I've loved so much watching you thrive in this space. So I was so excited to get the email.
You're gassing me up, mate.
Yeah,
what have you been up to today? Hairdressers, obviously.
Hairdresser, yes. I like the angle that you've got going for me. So thank you, team. No, today it's been a bit of a pamper day, so this fitted in really nice.
What does I can't even ask you what a regular day looks like for you. That's kind of hard. I'm going to ask you what an off day, putting everything away, going away from the cameras, the social media, your work, what does that look like?
A lot of self-care. One part of it is really boring. It's like I'm a mum, so it's washing and it's like getting my house. I'm not a naturally tidy person, but in order for my brain to work better, I need my house tidy. So it's like getting my home organized. But it's a lot of self-care, like just downtime. A lot of what I do is very loud. It's always on the phone. It's, showing up for people. It's showing up for my kids. So it's just like couch silence. My favorite thing in the world.
Are you binge watching any sort of TV at the moment?
No, I've just finished watching Manifest on Netflix. So good. I randomly fell into it, but I'm really back into reading at the moment. So Colleen Hoover, I'm really deep into a few of her books. Although I was laughing with a friend the other day because it's taken me like 6 months to finish one book, but that's just being a mum. But I'm so excited every night to just get into that book.
I feel like that's the vibe for 2024. A lot of people have started reading again, and Colleen Hoover's a trap because she pumps out books like they're going out of fashion.
She is amazing. And every book you think the next one won't be as good as the last one, you're like, that's my favorite. And then you do another one, like how she keeps coming up with these formats and storylines. But we love her.
It's a slippery slope for you to then slip into sci-fi fantasy, which is my wheelhouse. Just wait. It's going to happen. You're going to go from Colleen Hoover to Sarah J. Maas in just a second. And the next time we have a conversation, you're going to be like, I'm into the fantasy.
I'm into the aliens.
I'm into the love scenes with the wings.
Yeah. I feel like you and I would both be into that anyway.
Oh, yeah. So. No, absolutely. Okay, so if I was to ask you for like a blurb of first what you do, and then I'll ask who you are after. But like what do you do? How would you describe Sophie Cachia?
Interesting. So I interpret that, what do I do? Well, first of all, I am a mum, but then that goes into who I am as well. But first and foremost, I'm a mum to my son, Bobby, who's 9, and my daughter, Florence, just turned 7. They are my every reason for everything that I do. I live and breathe those kids, and I say it's such a blessing every day to see part of your soul walking around in someone else's body, and that's my children. And then what do I do? So I have a sleepwear label, Cachia. We're going into our 7th year now. We wrote it out through COVID. We made it through that. Business is a little bit funny at the moment across all fields. So we're just navigating, but we're still steamrolling ahead. So that's challenges, but so much excitement and so much success I faced with that every single day. And then I sort of freelance media as well. So a lot of stuff on social media, a lot of brand ambassadorships, marketing. But then over the past few years, I've released 2 books as well. So lots of different hats in a stage in my life where I'm trying to, I've been juggling those hats for so long and really trying to prioritize what's important for me at the moment. And I'm also going back to the kids in such a different space as a mum. So I have so many commitments with my children now, and my life is really living their life at the moment, and I'm really loving it. I'm thriving.
I actually remember when your Instagram handle was like the young mummy.
The young mummy, and now I'm like heading into middle-aged mummy territory. But then I'm going to go back to the young mummy because when I'm like 40, 41, Bobby will be 18. So I'm like back to being a young mum.
I bring it back.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm going to be in my MILF era. I'm going to be thriving. I'm going to be driving, high school.
Yeah,
I've
school
still
drop-offs will be so fun for you.
So fun.
I can't wait. That's actually going to be, you write another book about it. So fun. What, because you've been doing this kind of social media space for a really long time, what kind of motivates you, and what is your why for doing what you do every day?
Interesting question. I think it's definitely changed over the years. Not a lot of people know that I initially started this journey really because I had to. So I was a 23-year-old stay-at-home mum. I had a boyfriend at the time on a rookie wage contract within the AFL. We had a home together and we had a newborn. So I needed an avenue to utilise my skills where my background came from sort of journalism and media to create something for myself in order to raise my son. So it all sort of happened at the same time. I started a blog writing about being a young mum in a time where Instagram didn't even exist. And then Instagram and social media started to really become prominent in our society. And I just saw an avenue there to connect with people, to share my stories. And subsequently, it led to making a lot of money off it.
Yeah.
So, you know, we see it a lot now where you feel like sort of everyone wants to be famous on social media and on all of that, and that's fine. But back then it was simply a case of I had to do something that enabled me to stay home, raise a baby at 23, but also contribute to my family income.
So that was your why at the beginning.
Yeah.
What about now?
I'm still trying to figure that out. Because, you know, I've made no secret in the fact that sometimes I really struggle with it now. Like I'm over so many parts of it. I'm in such a different space now with who I am. But at the same time, I have created and now subsequently part own a very successful business thanks to social media and this community that I have built, this following base. So I can't just disappear either. So, and also it pays my mortgage.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a single mum with 2 kids. I've bought my own home. It pays my mortgage.
Yeah.
So at times, it's, you know, I'm over it.
Yeah.
But I'm also very lucky and privileged to be in a position where a lot of the time I can work from home and I get to work with my children or work, you know, this for me is work. Like I'm very lucky as well. And financially, I've been able to do so many things on my own as a single mum for so many years, and I'm really proud of that as well.
I have watched you over the last couple of years, do all these different things. And it seems like you've got no fear to try whatever it is. Where did that come from? Because it's really cool. I think a lot of the time, and it is something that we'll touch on as women, we're scared to do things, scared to try things. And you've tried so many businesses, you own so many, you've been a part of so many different things. How have you got the courage to be able to be I'm going to do this with people watching and judging your every step? Yeah. How do you do that?
Yeah, I get this question a lot, where does that confidence come from? And I don't really have a magic answer other than I was born like that. I'm the youngest of 4 daughters, and I was just born so differently wired to my sisters. They're quite shy, reserved. They're happy to just, live with their families and stuff. And ever since a really young age, I wanted to be different. I wanted to do more. If people told me to go left, I went right. So that was embedded in me as a child. And I just think that comes out in so many different ways now as an adult. I do also think that becoming a young mum, I was written off by a lot of people. You know, stereotypically, oh, she got knocked up, her boyfriend's 20, 21, she's 22, oh God, her life's over. And from that moment, I was like, I'm going to prove to you my life is not over. Yeah. And I'm going to prove to you I can do so much more than any of you think I'm capable. I'm going to do it to prove you wrong, but I'm also going to do it for my son and then my daughter. And I'm also going to do it for me because I am made for so much more than this. I have been put on this earth to do great things, and I'm not scared to try anything.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of courage in doing that as well. It is, I won't lie, it's petrifying doing some of the things I do. It's petrifying starting your own podcast. Yeah. It is petrifying writing your own book, whether it was the one about my life or I was sharing other stories. It's petrifying doing a brand collaboration and not knowing if it's going to pull off. But how else do you know? How else in life do you learn what's made for you and what's not? So I wrote it in my books. I'm a very big believer in not fearing failure.
Okay. That was going to be my next question, the fear of failure.
In any form of, of course, I'm not going to sit here and go, I'm not scared of failure. We're humans. Yeah. We're petrified of it. But I don't think you can fear it to the extent it stops you doing something, because if you fail at something, you've either realized something that's not meant for you, a path that's not meant for you, or it wasn't meant to be part of your journey, or you've taken a great lesson out of it. So my podcast, for example, I did it. I loved it. I had an audience that loved it. I realized I didn't really want to do that. So I tried it.
Yeah.
It didn't really work. Okay, I've tried this. Didn't really work. I have one amazing business that is thriving and has had way more success than I could have ever imagined. And then I have another business that's a grind every single day. And, you know, and that's okay because I'm learning what to do here. I'm learning what not to do over here. So I won't sit here ever and say, I'm not scared of failing. Yeah. I'm petrified, but I'll do it anyway.
I think that it's really rare to hear successful women talk about trying things and not being scared of the failure. I guess like my next question there would be, as someone who's tried and has failed, how do you have the motivation, but also like that kind of tunnel vision to block out the noise that's happening around you? Because for every successful thing that you do, people will find a way to like find millions of things wrong with it. For every good thing you do, everyone else, like the tall poppy syndrome in Australia for everyone, but for women and for successful women. And I mean, you've seen it in sport. Like it's just, everyone always finds a way to like find something wrong with what you're doing. So how do you block that out? And what would your advice be to young women and girls and God, any women of any age trying to try something new, chase their dreams, or just be without the noise happening around them?
I think you actually kind of mentioned my answer in what you just said then. Whether you fail or whether you do something wrong in someone's eyes, they're going to have something to say. But what I've learned is whether you do really well or you are really generous or you are really loving, they are still going to have something to say anyway. So, you know, I go back to a time when I was pregnant with my second child, my daughter, and I had a public baby shower where I was raising $50,000 for charity. And I raised that money and I hit my target and I gave all of that money to a charity. And I was accused of being vain and having a public baby shower. Like it's just no matter what you do, if you are sharing the good things that you're doing, especially on social media, you're bragging. But if you're not sharing them, then apparently they don't exist. And so you're a horrible person because you're not sharing about this charity or that, or you know what I mean? So for me, I have attended quite a few meditation workshops with a lady called Belinda Anderson. And I truly believe she changed my life because she taught me so much about perspective and reacting to people. And so your perception of other people, wait, hang on. No, I've got to remember it. Hang on.
No, you're
what
okay.
Is it again? I always say it.
You say it the wrong way around?
Yeah, wait, hang on.
Is it other people's perceptions of you is their reality or your reality or one of those? I feel like you've said this to me before.
Yeah, I've got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've done quite a few vegan meditation retreats. I'm very spiritual. I'm very open to trying anything for my mind and my body in any capacity. And I've attended quite a few workshops with a lady called Belinda Anderson, who's based out of Queensland. And she changed my life with something she taught me back in 2018. And it's that your perception becomes your reality.
Okay, yeah.
And so I live by that. So if my perception is that everyone around me always has something negative to say, or everyone hates me, or everyone's going to judge that I'm going to do this, I'm going to put myself in that hole because I'm creating that reality for myself. But if my perception within myself is they might think that, but it's not going to affect me anyway, and I'm going to move forward, then that's what I do. So really, I think one of the greatest things is that perception, and we get to choose that.
Yeah.
So naturally our emotions might take us in one direction, but we get to control here, okay? And we get to have that perception, or is it going to be a negative view or a positive view? And I am always, like my friends and work colleagues will tell me, I am one of the most positive mindset people because I can just shift it. Like I refuse to think like that. I refuse to let you make me think like that, and I refuse to live my life like that. So I won't lie, I think I do have this incredible ability to just shut it out.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have lasted, 11, 12 years on social media now with relentless trolling. Like there are forums dedicated to tearing me down.
Yep.
I can't trust people outside of a circle of 5 people because of information that gets shared about me, and that's just the reality of my life right now. But I wouldn't have lasted this long if I let that in and I let that affect me. So Another thing that she taught me was that you control your reactions. So your reaction to something is completely up to you. And that's something that I've really had to work on over the past few years, especially. My life has gone in so many different directions. But when it comes to the social media and that outside noise, I get to choose how I react. Mm-hmm. And I get to react by not reacting.
I am really trying to learn that at the moment. I've been in some situations recently where I in my mind didn't react poorly, but I still gave someone the satisfaction of reacting to something that they said or that they did. And I'm trying really hard to know, what was it that it was said? It was that sometimes you have to be okay with people not knowing your side of the story. I really struggle with that because I'm like, but then I don't get to say how I feel, and I don't get to, other people are just going to assume the worst about me. And my dad said to me, he was like, in his American accent, he's like, sweetie, people, if they have an opportunity, are going to assume the worst about you anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah. I really love that one. I know what you're talking about as well. And it's a fine line, because I'm with you on that, is that I deal with it all the time too. It's like, no, every now and then I want to put someone in their place. Like they don't deserve to speak to me like that and get away with it. What I've learned is that takes way more of my energy than shutting it out. Mm-hmm. Every time I do react and I'm like, and you get that little boost of, I told you what I think about you and you're a piece of shit. Yeah. It's like, I just spent an hour and now I'm ringing my friend to tell them about it. And then someone's texting me because they saw it. And I'm like, oh, this just ended up taking my whole day. Yeah. So they took that power from me. Yep. And so don't get me wrong, I can be a hothead. Like there's nothing more I love than confrontation with a man. Like I will tear you down. I will eat you alive from the inside out. But I'm more happy to do that face to face and over the internet. Like no conversation is uncomfortable for me to have. But this internet stuff and the back and forth and the, with friends, and I even do it if you have a tiff with a friend or you have a disagreement with someone at work. It's really taken me a lot, like I think you'd look at my book, my first book I wrote, then there was her a few years ago. The person who wrote that book and the person who is here now are completely different people. And that's growth. And that's okay. That we're humans. I'm now in my 30s. Like we are allowed to change and grow. We're allowed to have different perspectives on things. But it definitely takes more energy to give in to something. Yep. And I'm always so annoyed at myself afterwards. And I'm like, why did I do that?
I know, I should have just said nothing and then it wouldn't even be a thing anymore. I want to ask, do you have examples of, because for me, sometimes I find it hard to stand tall in a room of men. And for me, actually the coolest thing recently is now that I've been doing more of the commentary for the NBL on the sidelines, my experience has been so amazing. I've been so welcomed. I've been made to feel like my opinion, it matters. And that's really hard in I'm a female athlete. I'm in a male-dominated arena. Yeah. I'm in a stadium that's packed full to watch these men play. And someone asks me what I think of a play. At the start, I was like, oh my God, if I say the wrong thing, then I'm just going to get booed and trolled on the internet. But the guys there on the commentary team and Damo and Trevor Gleason, all that, they actually want to know my opinion on something because
you're there because they want your opinion. Yeah, you're not there to coach.
Yeah,
you're not there
it's so weird. That kind of stand up, feel like my voice matters in that room. Now I say this because for me, I have this incredible example of, and was always taught by my dad how to use my voice. Did you have someone in your life that was always teaching you to use your voice no matter what type of room you're in?
It's interesting because I look back at my childhood and I think I taught myself. I really think I taught myself. I speak about this quite a lot. And another thing I've learned in life is so many things that happen to us as children really shape who we are. 100%. And I am learning that with every friendship I have, with every relationship I go through, with every person I meet. There's always something really pivotal in their childhood that lives in them their whole life. And I'm not sitting here crying poor, oh my God, I had a terrible childhood. I had a wonderful childhood, an incredibly loving family. Great.
But you still have experiences.
But I have experiences of a young girl who was the youngest of 4 sisters. I had a dad who worked a job in AFL, who travelled around Australia, very high demanding job, so wasn't home a lot. And I had a stay-at-home mum, juggling 4 girls, and we never missed out on anything. We were at school on time every single day, lunch packed, hot dinner on the table at 6 o'clock every single night. We did tennis, swimming, netball. So I look back now, I'm like, oh my God, my mum was so busy.
Yeah.
Like, how did she do that? But she did it. And so I just think that fast-paced life, that perhaps, I use this saying, I think I had to jump a little bit higher to be seen in my family. It was very much like, come on, Soph, like, you'll be right. Like, grab your shoes yourself, do this. So I think I sort of learned to be super independent from a young age, but in terms of maybe getting attention from my parents, and again, I am not saying I was hard done by, but I just think I was like, hey, I'm here. Like me, the youngest. Like, and so that has definitely translated into my life now, where a lot of people misunderstand. They think I'm okay all the time. Like, she's tough, she's this, she's that. I'm a squishy soft bear inside. Like, I am the biggest living, walking contradiction. I am so confident. I'm so empowered in myself. I run these incredible businesses and I can stand out on stage and present to people, but I have a very soft heart and very, very gentle emotions that, you know, it doesn't take a lot to tip me over. So I think, what the fuck was the question?
No, you just answered it. You taught yourself.
Yeah.
You taught yourself.
When I look back in my life, I truly look within. Yeah. And I think it was you. I taught myself that. And you know what? That's okay to say.
Yeah, it really is.
I don't need to credit anyone else for my confidence. I don't need to credit anybody else for my success or my happiness. I've done a lot in my life, especially in recent years, especially after my divorce, completely on my own.
Yeah.
And I'm so fucking proud of that. And I don't need to credit anyone else for that.
Do you think that there's a culture that demands for you too?
Oh my God, absolutely. Because there'll be people listening to this going, she is so full of herself.
Yeah.
But you know what, Anneli? If I was a single dad sitting here, having, 80% custody of their kids and buying them a home and taking them here and taking them on holidays and, oh, he's so amazing. Yeah. He's just such a great dad. Yeah. But it's expected of us.
Yeah.
It is expected of us. And I'm okay with that because I'll do it and I want to. I want my kids as much as I can and I want to spend money on them and I want to give them the best life possible. But don't you dare take away my pride in that just because it's expected of me. Like, I have worked so hard to give my children the life they have and I will continue to do that. Like, I'm planning what fucking high school my son's going to.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep swearing.
No, I swear on it all the time. Okay. It's totally fine.
Like, I'm about to make huge decisions moving forward and I'm so proud that I'm doing that. And, they have their dad and he's there. But, I've bought us a home. I've built us a life. We just got back from 10 days in Bali and I'm creating these experiences with my children because I've worked hard to do so. Yeah.
Do you think that the traditional gender roles and the way that you're supposed to act and all that stuff, do you think that you, being the way you are getting to literally tear that down every day for your kids to see something that is just you and doesn't have to fit into a mum or dad or you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I think something great that my ex-husband and I did is we tore that wall down really early. So after the birth of our second child, Florence, I went straight back to work and their dad stayed home with them. And so many people were so confused. I was like, I'm the breadwinner. I earn more money. Yeah. It's so much smarter for me to go back. He's an incredibly great dad. He's more than competent to stay home. And it was just a no-brainer. But so many people were like, oh, my God. Whoa. But at the same time, do you know how much praise he got from the wider public? Oh, my God. It's like women do that every day. Yeah. Women sacrifice their careers. They put their lives on hold to raise children. Amazing. We all know that. But then a man does it and it's, oh, my God. And I'm not discrediting his work and his role and the love that he gave. But just to see that reaction that he got for doing that, I'm like, we do this every day.
Yeah, without any sort of reaction from anyone.
Without zero reaction. We don't even want a reaction.
I know.
So, we've definitely both raised our children. And it's huge for me that mum goes to work. Mum works really hard. And unfortunately, sometimes mum doesn't make school pickup and mum can't be there for basketball on a Saturday because she's working. And the reason she's working is because we live in this beautiful home and you've got a savings fund and you're going to high school and, and you've got really food on the table. Like, let's be real, your dinner's on the table, so mum has to work. Yeah.
That funnels me into my next question about, I have been privy to witness like your relationship with your kids and the way that you raise them, but also their relationship with sport and the way they view male and female athletes, or just athletes in general. Now, most of the people listening would remember the story that Maddie Prasparkas shared about her friend who has a son who watches the soccer. So the friend who has a son is Sophie.
The friend is me. And you know what? I didn't even listen to that episode. It wasn't until a little bit later you shared a clip from it, and I'm watching it. I would still have the message in my phone. I messaged her. I go, is that Bobby? And she was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I didn't know if you'd see that. And I'm like, that's so cute. Why didn't you ever tell me? So Mads is like one of my best mates.
Yeah.
That was so sweet. But I will credit, their dad. Again, I won't take all of it here, in the sense that we definitely, especially with our son, he was our firstborn. And it was so important to us to raise him with no norms. Okay. And that doesn't just apply to sport. It applied to humans, what they look like, how they live their life, who they love. So everyone always thinks like, because I'm now gay, that like I pushed the pride movement with my kids. No, like me and their dad did that when we were married. Well beforehand. And if you know me, which again, a lot of people don't, if you actually know me, you know that's me to my core, and it always has been. Female sport was a huge thing for us to not push, because you don't push things on your children, but just to expose them to.
Yes, that's the best way to put it, because like you are, as a child in this world, you're exposed already to all of the male-dominated sports. They're not pushed onto you, they're just present. You see them in the media, you see them. They're everywhere. So you have to like make an effort to expose the other side of the coin.
And so whenever I get asked, it's really interesting, whenever I get asked, what can we do for female equality in sport? And everyone's like, these government bodies need to do this, and the organizations need to do this, and the TV need to do this. No, do you know what we need to do as parents? Is tell our kids about female athletes, is show them the sport, is to buy a membership. So don't tell me you support the female movement. What are you doing though in your life? Because I'm buying memberships for a soccer team, for a basketball team, and for an AFLW team currently. My son has all three of those. So, I'm sure everyone got on the Matildas bandwagon, okay, over the World Cup. Have you watched another female soccer game after that? Are you buying your kids jerseys with Maley on the back?
Yeah.
So let's stop pointing the finger. Yes, there's a lot that all these organisations can be doing, and the media and the broadcast rights. We know that. But what are we doing in our homes? Because we are our children's biggest influence. So I say to the parents, the pressure's actually on you.
Yeah.
Because our children are sponges. So if your child is Nick Dacos from Collingwood is their idol, say to them, okay, now I want you to pick one from the AFLW side of Pies and have two idols. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Okay. Put the TV on a Sunday and watch a WNBL game and say, hey, the girls are playing.
Yep.
Normalize that stuff. Don't just take something like the World Cup to say, hey, we're going to watch this for 2 weeks and then we're never going to look at it again. Ask yourself as parents, what am I doing to help this movement?
Yeah.
Because if we are bringing through a generation of hundreds of thousands of kids who know female athletes, who watch the sport, who want to buy it, then they have to show it.
Yeah.
Okay, when the demand is there, they will show it. I get really angry.
I love that. That is actually, because I tried to put that in different words a couple episodes ago, because I was like, the way we change the respect towards what we do as female athletes is by teaching our sons, brothers, fathers, and getting their support, because as women, sometimes we're terrible at supporting other women, which I digress. We'll get back into that.
That's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole nother ballpark. But the support from men is one of the first ways to get women to be seen. Unfortunately, that we need that support to be seen. And I think that putting it in that way, that's a really loud motorcycle.
That was really loud. Who's banging it down Queen's Road?
They're going. To put it that way, that like, the responsibility is on the parents.
And I can say that being a parent, because I know how much emphasis I put on that in my household. And I can see the other boys at school when they're coming to sports day and they've all got their Collingwood and their Bulldogs and their this and their that. And my son's choosing to wear like a girl he met and she signed his card and he's like, I love her. Because he knows no different. She has become an idol to him. If someone as you, I know you don't want to talk about yourself, but you and your partner have been such an influence on my son for simply simply being yourself and including him in your space. And now he wants to be part of it too. So it's the tokenism in it doesn't sit well with me. You know, like I said, it's the Olympics or it's this and everyone gets on board. But what are you doing in your everyday life to teach our children the balance?
Do you think that also trickles over into the way that Florence also sees kind of the equality in the same space? Do you
She
think that
knows no different.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, imagine being a kid and not feeling inferior to your male counterpart. I can't. My brain wants to explode.
No different.
That's wild.
Like zero. Like never once has the words come out of my daughter's mouth, oh no, like I can't, the boys do that or the girls do that. Like if anything, you'll hear her brother from the other room say, boys and girls can do anything they want to do. And I'm like, all right, Bobby, you're not even in this conversation. But like he's such an activist. But yeah, it's a really proud time to be a parent because I know I'm not silly. There is so much work to do, and I know that. But it's a really proud moment to be a parent, knowing what is coming. And I bought a PlayStation 5 for my son and daughter for Christmas, and he had his cousins over, and I could hear the three boys, screaming. They're playing FIFA, and I go in there to be like, "Shut up! Like, what are you doing?" And they are cheering. They are playing Matildas.
Oh my God!
They picked their side, and Sam Kerr had done their soccer. I don't know, bicycle. I really should know these terminology. But,
she did a backflip.
She did a backflip. Pow!
Yeah.
Pow! And I had three boys aged 13, 10, and 9 sitting there like screaming at the TV, and it was such a proud moment for me that they know no different.
That makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
That is literally everything.
Yeah.
It really is. And I kind of want to segue from that into like how you live your life. So I imagine that being a mum, also being in the social aspect, media, everything, you went from being in a relationship with a man to then being like outwardly you're out being in relationships with women. You're outwardly gay. You're very open. I've never heard you sound like quiet about this stuff in my experience with you. How did you take that first step to accepting that part of your life?
I think again it goes back to just always being okay with trying something or not, and again goes back to there's like a theme here of doing everything for my children and what kind of life would I want my children to live? Was it to be one that's safe and to not sure if like this is what I want, or would it be to chase that happiness? And so for me, what was your question?
It's just how did you take that step in your life?
Yeah.
Like how did you feel and what did that look like for you to kind of accept all of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to accepting every part of me, I won't lie in saying that there's still challenges.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of everyone. Like, do we ever really know who we are?
True.
Completely?
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me there's someone who's like, I know exactly who I am and I'm never going to change. I think anything my experience has taught me is that change can come at any time. Okay. And change is really scary, but change can also be beautiful. And, my life has been like this since I created that change, and I'm okay with it. I'm really at a point of just like letting my life be at that time. I have no idea what's coming, and that doesn't scare me. That excites me.
That is exciting.
Like it really excites me. And don't get me wrong, I want to make this really clear. I'm 34 this year and I'm single. I've got 2 children, and I don't know if I want to get married. I don't even want to think about any of that. And I'm not naive to the fact that I'm okay with that position because I have my children.
Yeah.
Okay. I think if I was sitting here, a single woman who hadn't been married before and hadn't experienced that, and I hadn't had children, if that's what you want to do, it would be very different.
Yeah.
I feel like naturally as women, there is a timeline on us and there is a lot of pressure. So
absolutely.
I'm not naive to the fact that I'm okay with my position right now because really I have everything I could ever dream of.
Yeah.
So I have that privilege of having birthed my children already. And if I do again or I don't, I've got the sweetest angels ever. And I can say I've been married and it wasn't for me. But for myself personally, it just goes back to I want to live an authentic life. And again, I still don't completely know what that looks like, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think that the reason I wanted to ask you that question is because now that we have pride rounds in sports everywhere.
Yeah.
And just, I guess, pride in general. Like for me, those are really important things to, you know, in February in Melbourne, you got the Midsummer Festival and it's not just in sports, but it's everywhere. People accepting themselves and who they are.
Yep.
The other week was Pride Round for the NBL.
Yep.
Now, this was really interesting because there was so much support and love, and then there was so much overwhelming hate and anger and whatever. I guess in your perspective, why do you think these Pride rounds and things are important?
My dad actually said to me a couple of years ago, and my dad is a beautiful man, and he's been probably the most wonderful support for me since all of this change. He's asked questions, like he's wanted to learn and all of that. But he said to me once, he goes, "Is everyone turning gay now?" Like, is that's what's happening? Like, don't get me wrong, he's nearly 70, white male. Like, he goes, "I feel like everyone's gay." I said, "No, Dad, not everyone's gay. People are just more comfortable to talk about it. We've created a society where a large portion of us are comfortable to speak about sexuality, mental health, female pleasure, God forbid, things that we want in life." And so I do see it. I see it with the AFL. I see it with, you know, the branding of every female athlete's a lesbian and all this. And don't bring politics into sport, but how do we create that safe space for people? And it's not just pride, it's disability inclusion. Like, we're seeing so many different programs come in because we are living in a world that is more empathetic and that is more loving and isn't so black and white and straight and narrow. Like, we are becoming so, but like you said, there's still so much to do.
So much, yeah.
So that backlash, it's people, there's not just people that are like not okay with it, they hate it.
Yeah. That just shows me why we need to do it.
It's exactly like they don't realize they are critiquing something that they're proving our exact point.
Exactly.
You idiots. Yeah. I can say that. You can't, you fucking idiots. Yeah. You are proving the reason why we keep pushing these movements.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care what people do in their life. I just don't want to hear about it. You do care. It makes you extremely uncomfortable. Yeah. And that's why your grandson won't tell you about his sexuality.
Yeah.
Okay? That's why you have been pretending to your wife that you've liked her for 45 years. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's why you feel like you can't do what you actually want to do.
There's just so many barriers that people create in their minds that they don't even know about.
Yeah, so I do find it funny. You know, and it goes back to everything. Whenever there's hate, the issue isn't the person or that. It's the person hating. That is where the issue lies. The issue never lies up here.
Yeah. I want to ask you about what did you call it? You said you were a walking contradiction.
Yeah.
Now, the thing I wanted to kind of ask about that was your confidence, the way you present yourself, and that you're a soft teddy bear and all of that. How do you create space in your life for your mental health? How do you create space in your life for you to have bad days and to experience things and to be a human? And what does that look like for you? And how can you, and are you comfortable sharing that stuff? Is that a space that other people have made you feel comfortable to share in?
The answer is I don't know. I'm still figuring that out. Yeah, I do believe I am a massive walking contradiction because part of me knows I am this person. I am strong. I am so independent. I know who I am. And then this other side of me allows myself to be continually betrayed by people. You know, I'm continually betraying myself for people who would never do the same for me. Yeah. And so that isn't that person. Yeah. Okay, they're two different people. And I'm continually putting myself in positions to be hurt because I don't want to hurt people, so I just let them hurt me. Now, that is not that person. Yeah. Okay, so two very different people. I think something I've talked about mental health since I was, you know, I knew I had some form of anxiety as young as age 10. I look back and I didn't know that was it, but now I'm like, oh my God, and I see some of those things in my children now. So for me, I'm still figuring out what the best way to deal with these things is, but the number one is to deal with it. Yeah. Okay, is to absolutely deal with it because I've experienced up close and I see it every day. There is no way to win from running from anything, okay? And there is it's absolutely okay to not be ready to face something. But I'll tell you what I'm sick of. I'm sick of people not facing things and then projecting onto me. Yeah. I am so sick of it, Anneli, that But I keep putting myself. So when you ask me, what do? I don't know, because I keep putting myself in the same position.
I want to read you something actually, and this was sent to me literally just like 2 or 3 days ago. And I think you said the word betrayal, and I was like, ooh, this is perfect, because it's talking not about like
I am this confident, independent woman, but I betray that person with a lot of my decisions in life.
Oh, the sound for that is on. Let's turn that off. Okay. It says, sometimes people can't reciprocate because they can't give you what they can't give themselves. Those who are at war with themselves can't give you peace. Those who betray themselves can't give you loyalty. Those who lie to themselves can't give you honesty. See them as they are, not who you wish them to be. And I think that is the mirror of like that we keep putting ourselves in positions where we see these mirrors, and it's not actually, these people aren't actually seeing us, they're seeing a reflection of themselves, and that's the projection.
And another one I like too is, whether this is a person or a job or a dream, like fall in love with the reality of it, not the potential of it. And it goes exactly in line with what you just said. And that doesn't need to just be romantic relationships. That can be job aspirations, or, I want to pack up and move over here. Like, it all sounds amazing.
Yeah.
There's no reality in that. But then this is where the contradiction comes in, because the person I am, I want to encourage people to chase that dream and to like give the second chance and to like go for it. And they say, work hard and you can achieve anything. You know what? It's not always true.
It really isn't.
It's not always true. We've got to stop with those quotes.
Because you can't.
It's not always true. Like, you would know as an athlete, it doesn't matter at times how hard you work and how, many extra sessions you do or how many shots you put up, you still might not be good enough.
Yep. The target's always moving and it's being held by someone else. Yeah. So I might see this goal or this target that I want to reach, and it's someone else is holding it and moving it around. So I'm not in control of how fast the target moves, who's holding it, how they're moving it around, whether or not at one point they're just going to put the target behind their back. So I'm not even capable of grabbing I'm not in control of that. And we're not in control of that. Like the goals that you have, they are the outcome, and that's what you want, but you can't base your life around that.
You can't be so fixated on it.
Exactly.
That encapsulates all of your happiness.
Yeah. It really can, though.
I would assume as an athlete, you've had to learn how to have, your focus is basketball and this, but you have to fill your cup so many other different ways. And that's where I'm at in life, is bringing back the simplicity in my life. Because, everyone goes, oh my God, your job looks so cool. You went to that rooftop party and you did a photo shoot here and you did this. And do you know what I'd much rather do? Sit on my couch, have a hot shower, wash my hair, shave my legs, put clean pajamas on, and have no one fucking talk to me.
And read Colleen Hoover.
I was going to say something else, but I don't know where we're going with this podcast. But
we can all pick up what you're putting.
Like, just bring back that simplicity and fill my cup up. I've been so reliant on so many other people to fill my cup. And I know I can't do that anymore, but I keep doing it, Anneli.
Yeah.
I keep doing it.
Do you think I know this is a really hard question, but the reason that you continue to keep doing that or searching for it is because something in your childhood led you to believe that you could only receive that from other people?
Absolutely. And I am. I'm I've always been open to talking about going back to therapy when I need to. And it's like I said to my friend the other day, I need to figure out this. Like, I need to crack this code of why I can love myself so much, but then allow this stuff to keep happening.
Yeah. It is a code that is embedded somewhere in your life.
So much.
Yeah.
Like, I give every part of my living, breathing soul. And people say, don't give as much of yourself.
That's part of who you are, though.
It's who I am. But I do that with, I want to make it clear, this is not relationship. This is friendships. Like, I give everything of myself to everyone, and I've got to learn to give it to myself.
Yeah. Because I think that, you have so much love in you, right? And it doesn't just come out in your relationships with people, but it does in your businesses and the way you try things, your relationships with everything. I'm similar in I have a lot of feelings and a lot of love, and I give outwards, but I actually the concept of loving myself, I've never grasped. I can't understand it, can't visualize it. I can't.
Oh, see, I love myself.
I've having this conversation with my teammate Steph Gorman the other day. She and I were having this like very deep conversation about self-love.
Yep.
She was trying to explain it to me, what it means, what it feels like, and I'm like, I can't even. And then she's like, well, how much do you love your partner? I was like, literally so much I could die. And then she's like, all right, well, what if you felt those things towards yourself? And I was like, like I can't.
So do you ever look at yourself and go, wow, I played such a good game?
Literally
I'm
never.
so proud of myself.
That's an athlete culture thing sometimes though, because your best is never good enough.
Like, do you ever look at your physique and go, I am ripped at the moment? Do you ever go, I look really pretty in that photo?
No, my love for myself or love.
I'm this. You are one of the kindest people I've ever met in my life.
I get my happiness and joy of my connections with other people, and my like experiences with other people, or like as simple things as like how happy my dog looks today, or like, but like the idea of then turning it towards myself is really hard, really hard. But because I present as like this really confident, happy person, people don't question that part of me, you know? Yeah. And when I might say something like, oh God, I'm so anxious, or like blah, blah, a lot of people like think that it's not real. Yeah. Because we present, and that's the contradiction thing. It's like, I don't think people would know that you experience these other sides, or that I experience these other sides, because we present this way. Yeah. And it's like, not saying it's a mask, because it is truly part of who we are.
And that's the thing. So people think because you have these different sides, one of them must be fake.
They're not fake.
No,
they're just different parts of you.
We have different versions of ourselves, and we are affected in different ways. So like people, you know, I am this big soft teddy bear, and people go, bullshit, you're just saying that, you know, to get people. And then, okay, well then you up here talking, that's all fake then. Like you can't fake that confidence either. Nope. Okay. So I can be really happy with who I am, but be really sad the next day as well. And that's okay. Yeah. Like, let's all strip it back to basics. We are humans. We have emotions. We have hormones.
Yeah,
as well.
we do have hormones.
We have hormones. Yeah. And I go back to social media, and I'm trying not to interview you.
No, go. It's
I'm
fine.
really
it's totally
trying
fine.
not to interview you. I think you can relate in the sense of I still have to show up on social media when my life is turning to shit in the background, or I'm sick, or I've, you know, got a really bad period that day, or something's happened. I'm fighting with my friend. I've got to show up on social media. You've got to show up and play a game, and you have to play that game really well. I'm really trying not to interview you.
No, seriously. It's one of the hardest parts of my career is being authentic in that way, because I do preach being yourself, and the mental health space is such a huge important space for me, and that is my why, is like talking about that stuff, bringing awareness to it, making people understand, but then taking away from like all me experiencing all of this stuff doesn't make me bad at my job. It doesn't make me any less capable at my job. It doesn't make me any less powerful as a woman, as a person, at none of that. But I find it really hard to speak about all this stuff and then not feel judgment.
Of course.
It's really hard.
Well, as an athlete, it would be, because you are expected, you are paid to play, and you are paid to shoot this many. Yeah. So that, like, you can't, I can imagine, I'm assuming you can't really turn up to work, a game, and go, I'm just mentally not on today. Yeah. I think I'll just sit this one out.
You can't.
No, you can't.
I'm really lucky that I'm in a position now, and with the team that I have in Perth, I'm surrounded by beautiful human beings that all support each other's mental well-being and mental health, and my coaches, coaching staff, organization. I have never felt more accepted for being who I am. And I've never, you know, I've had experiences in the past where my mental health and just me, I felt like a burden. And I'm in an organization that makes me feel like who I am is enough, and there's no part of me that is a burden. So I've actually gone to games and stood next to my assistant coach and been like, I'm really, really anxious. Like I don't feel good. And he will take the time to sit and talk to me and talk through that. But at no point do I ever feel like he's questioning how good I'm going to play.
What a great environment.
It's amazing. And I want everyone to experience that.
Well, from a player's perspective, you probably always don't get that choice. From someone like me, we get that choice. Yeah. And so when people are like, life's this and life's that, the first thing to do is look at your surroundings. Yeah. Who are you putting yourself around? I'm really, really passionate about that now, because I've gone through life. Yeah. I have some life experience behind me. I'm not perfect at it, but I have some awareness now to know that my mood can be severely impacted by the energy, the energy around me. I can literally walk into a room, and if someone's off, I'm like, no, I can't. Yeah. I'm not feeling like this today.
Because you're an empath. You take that in.
I take it on. Yeah. And I don't want to. So I have learnt those boundaries of going, you know what, this isn't for me today. And I have learnt those boundaries in the sense of finishing relationships, friendships, you know, even with people really close to me, because I'm like, I can't take that on anymore. Yeah. this friendship doesn't serve me anymore, or this work relationship or whatever, this doesn't serve me anymore. It doesn't make me feel nice. And that is more than enough of an answer.
Oh my God, 100%. Yeah. I want to ask, if you had the opportunity to talk to yourself 10 years ago and give yourself advice, what would you say to young Soph? I'm going to start with teenage you, and then we'll go to like kind of early 20s you. What would you say?
Teenage me would be to not date that dickhead from like 17 to 19. That was a waste of my life. It would certainly be to sexually explore more. But again, it comes down to environment. Yeah. I went to a private school. I played netball. I grew up in a very straighty 180 world. I knew, we talk about teaching our kids things. I knew no different. Okay, so that was the we all wanted to get a boyfriend, and we all wanted to have babies, and we all wanted to do this. And that was like, not that that was like intentional. It was just the life I was shown. Yeah. Okay, so I didn't know any different. If I could go back, and again, that would be my children, is to explore life in so many different ways. Yeah. Travel a lot more before my kids. Yeah. Do not regret.
You're getting to do that now.
I am doing that now. And but what a terrible mum. She's leaving her kids at home. Oh my God. Yeah. She's leaving her kids at home with their capable father. How dare she pay for her own holiday and go and have fun? Yeah. What else would I tell myself? I wouldn't do anything different with my study. Like, I did study, I never finished it. And where I have got to now is I didn't even end up needing it. So that's like
your life experience has been your study.
Life experience has been my study, and I now own a multi-million-dollar business, and I didn't study anything to do with business. Yeah. So, life can go in different ways. What else would I tell myself? Are we still on teenager? I'd have sex so much more. Yeah. So much more. Yeah. I would stop having like boyfriends with mediocre,
just men that don't understand themselves.
Just live a little bit more. But also don't grow up too quick. Yeah. That's what I will teach my children. I'm seeing it now with my 7-year-old daughter. Stop trying to grow up too quick. Okay. You only get that innocence, and that once you have these life responsibilities, they don't go. Like, you have them forever. And I'm not just talking about kids. I'm talking about you need to work full time, and you have commitments, and you've got to pay for a car, and you've got to, once you're an adult, you never get that back. Yeah. So it would be to just be a kid as long as I can. I just think we all try and grow up so quickly. And then when we're here, we're like, I don't want to be here anymore.
I know. I
want to go back to school now.
Yeah. Well, I would never say go back to school. I hated school. Yeah. Not for me. I was actually talking to someone the other day about having a pleasant high school experience, and I'm like, wow, must have been nice. I hated that shit. I hated that shit so much. I want to ask, I have a question written here about female comparison.
Yeah.
How, and I know that it's hard as athletes, we do compare ourselves to other people, but as women, we compare ourselves to other people so often and from a young age. And I remember being like literally an 8-year-old girl, like looking at my friends and seeing how their hair sat, or like how they looked in that dress, or like how do you deal with the comparison, or like, have you gone through a period of your life where you did compare yourself a lot versus now, like that comparison game that we play, how does that relate to you?
Oh, of course. Like, growing up, I was the white freckly girl who was really tall, and I had gigantic boobs, and it all sounds funny, but I didn't look like any of my friends, And then you start high school and everyone wants to fit into their size 6 Sassenbide jeans. And I'm like, why am I a size 12 already? Yeah. So I know you can probably relate to that. I was just bigger than everyone. And I'm not a big woman at all, but I'm a size 12, curvy. I'm nearly 6 foot tall. Yeah. So I'm bigger than you have. I'm not big in basketball.
It's okay. It's okay. There's basketball and there's real
I'm really tall in normal world until I'm around them. And then I'm fucking small.
You're not small, you're shorter.
I'm shorter. I know what it's like to be a normal person. I'm like, hello.
Yeah, I'm tall.
And I had massive boobs. I had a breast reduction. Yeah. And so I had so many insecurities growing up. All my friends were going to the beach and tanning, and I was like mortified to go because I would have got so sunburned, and I had to spray tan before I went. And I got bullied. I got bullied a lot in primary school. Freckle face, like, go get a tan, you're so ugly, like all this stuff. So I have had to go through that to really love who I am now. And I think our children teach us so much. Like, I have a freckle face little fair daughter Little shit does get a tan, though.
That's annoying as hell. I hate that for you. Love that for her.
Happy
hate
for
it for
her.
you.
Still the white one in the family. But now I look at it and I'm like, I'm 33 and I've probably, you know, I'm covered in freckles and I'm all this, but I'm so sun smart. And that's what's important to me now. Like, I'm a mum. I can't be baking myself out in the sun. And so, again, I go back to, like, I think I taught myself all this stuff. I didn't like how people were speaking about me, so I'm not going to speak about other people like that as well. I forgot what your question was again.
Comparison.
Comparison, yep.
So, I want to know what you would say to other women who struggle with feeling like they're comparing themselves, or maybe they're in conversations where they catch themselves comparing other people.
So we are in this movement. I've talked about this for a few years where it's, you know, women support women. I think it's the biggest load of bullshit in the world because women don't support women.
We do not. We're terrible at it.
I, you know, can confidently say the people I surround myself do. I can comfortably sit here with you and know that from afar we support ourselves and we would want the best for ourselves. But the reality is women are taught to stand up, shout from the rooftops and be proud and own yourself. The second you do that, you are told to get back down real quick. You are told you love yourself. I've battled with this my whole life, confidence versus arrogance. And I get so annoyed about it because women are encouraged to do all of this and then we do it, and who's tearing us down? Other women.
Yep.
My biggest haters are all women. My biggest fans and people I inspire are all women, but equally my biggest passionate haters. I've even had family members, really close family members. They will want to tear me down. And it's so sad.
Why do you think that is?
Comparison.
I have a theory. Yeah.
It's comparison. Because as women, we are taught we need to look a certain way, we need to do this, we need to act a certain way. And if we're uncomfortable with what someone's doing, they must stop it.
Yeah.
Like, and I can't understand it because I'm not wired like that.
Yeah.
I see success here, left, right, center, and I'm like, good on them.
Yeah.
And I see failures or sadness and I feel for them too. Oh, that's sad. But I also don't care enough to get that involved.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't allow myself to be that invested in people from afar's life that it's going to impact my day. Yeah. Good, bad or ugly.
No, I get that. I think that in my perspective, I don't understand seeing someone else try something, open a business, whatever, and not support them, right? I think it's amazing. I'm like, wow, look at what that person's doing. Like,
they're giving it a go.
It's so cool.
Yep.
And I've always thought that, especially, you know, the women in my life, when they try something, I think it's awesome. My theory behind why, you know, when I try something and I hear a lot about myself. It always finds its way back to me. I hear a lot about myself, and a lot of the time I'm just like, oh, that's interesting. Add that to the list.
Isn't it funny when you hear things about yourself that you didn't even know?
No, I'm like, whoa.
Babe, that's me every day.
Why did no one tell me first?
I was like, I didn't hear this. Did I really do that? Am I dating them? Oh my God, crazy.
Wild. But I think the thing is like when other people seeing you succeed or try something that they've always wanted to do, or they don't have the courage to do, or they see success in other women and they don't have it within themselves to take that first step.
Absolutely.
So they want to bring you back down to the step that they're on.
Their level.
And that's really hard for me to grasp because it feels even funny coming out of my mouth because I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
We're suppressed in so many areas. We have to fight, and especially in female sport, we have to fight to be seen, or we have to fight to be respected. And then we do something amazing, or we don't celebrate each other. And instead we're like, no, stop that. Come back. What are you doing? And our biggest haters are not people in the outside. They're the people right next to you.
They're often the people closest to you.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. And I think that if I could warn my younger self, I'd be like, the people who are going to try and tear you down are going to be the other women in your field. It's going to be the other women who they won't support you. When in my head, I'm like, you know, if a fellow athlete starts a business, I've had a few of my friends start businesses recently. I will be the first one to buy shit. You will not send me anything for free. I will buy it. Yeah. And I will post about it. And that's what I like. But I just don't understand. Let's teach our daughters, our sisters, tell your friends, yo, this is what we're doing. Stop that. Stop that culture of like tearing each other down. Like we need to stop that.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Something that I've really taken on, I saw this TikTok or reel come up on my field, and it was about letting that go. Like the answer to everything or every problem you face is, you know, why are they being mean to me? I've heard they're talking about let them.
Let them. Let them. Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have.
And I apply it to so much. Like, why are these people writing this about them? Let them. Why won't this person hire me for this job or let them? Like, you've got to let that go. Once you switch that mindset and remove that from your subconscious that I can control all of these things. If people want to do something, let them. If people don't want to do something, let them. And it's so freeing within, you know, your energy is then your own. And it's not to say we can't be disappointed with things.
For sure.
You know, again, we're very similar. Things hurt our feelings, but we're going to let them do that because that's on them. It's actually not on us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a hard concept because it sounds so easy, but damn, is it difficult. It's so difficult.
It is, but I go back again. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm wise, you know, but I've got a couple more years up my sleeve. It gets easier.
Yeah, I hope so.
It really gets easier.
Because I've got this thing in the back of my head that's screaming like, justice. And I'm like, for who? Like, they're not going to listen anyway. It's not a real life thing. You know what? You hear
people talking about you. Like you said, you ask them, they're going to deny it.
Yeah.
Let them.
Yeah. I like that. I like the let them. It has come up in my feed recently. It must be a new thing or it's just maybe my algorithm is like, you need to see this now.
And I read something too about positive projection. So empaths will naturally project their positivity onto people with the mindset that they'll get it back.
Yeah.
But we're not, you know, there's no evidence that person actually possesses the same mindset of us.
And then that's the draining when you don't get it back.
And then they take it.
Yep.
And they've taken it and we're going, where's mine? And not everyone's wired the same.
Yeah. I like that positive projection.
Yeah. We project too much positivity onto people and then we're let down when we don't get it in return.
Just got to let them.
Let them.
Let them.
Keep it for ourselves.
Yeah, right? And the important people around us.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about, because we have spoken about this before, you're a mum. I hope to have kids one day. And I think that the awareness around the possibilities and the challenges that female athletes face to even get pregnant or like have, and being a female that's in a same-sex relationship as well, adds another layer of difficulty. Now, I know in the WNBA, they have a program that financially supports IVF. Also, the pregnancy leave, all of that is really amazing for them over there. It can always be better, but it's worlds above where, it's worlds above where we are now. Now, I've never even had the education on how that process would look like for me. The only thing I know is I'd have to take time off my job. That's the only thing I know. I'd have to take time off my job and then it would take me a certain amount to physically get back to where I was before because my body will change. But
you don't know what your options are.
Exactly.
Okay, so the other day, one of my best friends, she plays in the AFLW, and she sent me a message and she said, will you be my surrogate? Out of the blue. It's so her. And I was like, what? And she goes, well, I really want to have a baby, but I don't want to stop playing footy.
Yeah.
And I wrote back, I said, well, what are your options? Like, surely there's clauses in your contract or surely there's she goes, I don't know. I said, what do you mean you don't know? You're 32. You've been playing in there the whole time, 8 years. I said, you don't know what, you know, if you get pregnant and you have to take the season off, do they have to guarantee you another? She's like, I have no idea. No one's ever talked to me about it. Now, how the fuck is that still happening?
Yeah.
How am I sitting across from you, an Australian basketball player, and you don't know your options for your own body?
It's wild, hey? And the thought that the fear surrounding it is more like, of course, I'm too scared to even think about that. I know at some point, you know, my partner's 30, she's thinking, I'm going to have to freeze my eggs at some point because I can't stop playing now because it'll take me too long to recover and then blah, 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 blah. It's a really hard topic to understand because it is our bodies and it is what makes us money, but then there's not all this support that allows us to do it. There's some great examples in the league. Like I have a mum that plays in my team, Alex Gibertoni. She's brilliant. She brings Eli on the road and he's so cute. And everyone takes a turn holding Eli, taking care of him on the plane. And she, the club supports her so amazingly, lets her have either her mum and her dad or a friend or husband travel with her to support.
That's all good and well, but what are these organisations doing prior to that to help you plan
that?
To help you make these decisions?
There's no planning.
Like there's no secret that women's bodies are on a body clock.
Yeah.
And also professional athletes, you know, I don't know the stats, but I do know that it is possibly harder to fall pregnant. Yep.
Because of the stress that we put on our hormones. And
absolutely. And the training loads and all of that. But also, don't you peak like with your careers or something between like 28 and 32, which is like prime baby making age. So I know as a non-athlete, I can only speak as that. What scares me is at 33, I've got friends that don't even know at the moment when they're ovulating.
Yeah.
And that they're like, oh, yeah, like I'll probably like have a baby next year. And I'm like, you need to think about this. You know, we need to start checking our bodies. And
prenatal.
The lack of education. You know, when we were back at school, sex ed for us was like, you put a penis in your vagina, you are pregnant.
Yeah.
Or you have herpes. It was only two options.
There's literally only two options.
That was it. That's all that was going to happen to you.
Yeah.
And my mum's a health and sex ed teacher. And I said to her, Mum, do you teach young girls about their ovulation, about their menstrual cycles? Not just do you get a period. Do you teach them about the timings and what it means and hormone levels? She's like, no. I'm like, so how are we supposed to know as women who, when we get to this age, so it's, my biggest thing is, what are these clubs doing for female athletes? What are these organizations doing? Like, you know, are there sessions at the start of every year? Like anyone that possibly might be thinking of planning babies in the next 12 to 24 months, come see us. We're going to provide you with an education session.
For the first time this year, but it wasn't an education session. It was they can pass us along to, I think it's Monash IVF, that for the first time. And I remember that was actually the first time I'd thought about it.
Yep.
And that was the first time they'd I think they're starting a program or they're building one.
Yep.
But I think the IVF thing is huge because there is a lot of female partnerships in the WNBL.
Absolutely.
And that is the harder part because then also financially the stress of IVF is huge.
Huge.
And as female athletes who already don't make as enough money as they should.
Yeah.
We should be getting paid more, period.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to come out for that. That's fine.
Yeah.
We should. Our product is good enough, whatever. But the education around prenatal, postnatal health, all of that, we don't have it.
There's nothing.
But
yet it's a part of your physical well-being.
Yeah, it is.
As much of a sore calf is as important to them, so should be your cycle and where you're at.
In my whole career, I think there's maybe 2 or 3 strength coaches who, my current one who I spend a lot of time with, and Chris Blitzarves, and there might be one other that would take my cycle into account when he's building a program.
Absolutely.
But they don't do that. Not every single one will do that.
Yeah.
Not every single one. They'll be like, oh, are you tired today?
So you really don't have any idea about what would happen if you magically got pregnant tomorrow. You don't know where it stands with your contract.
No idea.
And I can say that my friend in the AFLW has no idea what happens if she falls pregnant tomorrow. She doesn't know if her job is gone. She doesn't know if her livelihood is gone. She doesn't know if there's a spot for her when she gets back. That on top of already not knowing if your body's going to be able to get back, if your mental health is going to get back, let alone being in an organization that hasn't educated you on your options.
It's wild, hey. When you actually put it all out there like that, it sounds crazy because it is. You know what I mean?
It's so crazy that it's not real.
It doesn't feel real.
Yeah.
Surely we're in a world in which these things are, you know what I mean? It should be there.
Evidence, and there'll be many people going, oh, poor women cry, but I don't care.
Yeah.
It's true. There are so many more pressures put on women, on you girls, to not only perform, because you never perform good enough, you're always asking for more money. And now, oh my God, now you want to talk about having babies? Well, don't play basketball then, because it's that easy, Anneli. Yeah. You want a baby? Don't play. Simple. Easiest decision you've ever made, yeah?
Yeah, right? You shouldn't have to choose.
Yeah, I suppose it's just a shame. I really thought I'd come in here and tell you that story about my FLW friend, and you'd be like, no, I know my options. No, there's 2 now that we now know of in this one conversation.
Yeah.
Where as a professional and as someone in her 30s who has played in this competition the whole time has no idea about what her options are.
I've got some amazing examples of current mums that play in the league. Like we see Kayla George with beautiful little Pearly running around. You see what Abby Bishop's doing with her daughter. You see what Chiba's doing with her son and Leilani and her kids. But you don't see the beforehand.
What happens before that?
That's the scary part.
How are you looked after before that?
Like we see that now and it's celebrated and it's so awesome and we take such good care of, we take better care of them now than we have in the past. But the beforehand is the scary part for me. And I hope in the next couple of years that's something that we can really push in not just the WNBL but all different areas of sport.
Absolutely.
Because it's scary.
Well, that contributes more to the equality in sport piece, right? If we are supporting women as that, you know, everyone thinks equality because you're all the same. You're not.
Yeah.
We're fundamentally different. I'm saying we because I am a professional athlete.
No, you've been to enough games. Yeah.
So that was my childhood where I tell this story of like, you know, falling asleep under the table one time and Dad's sitting there with all the men and they're drinking wine and they're all swearing, they're doing this. And I remember being 8 years old and I stood up under the table. I said, Dad, when can I swear? Yeah. So all the men are swearing and they all laughed at me. They said, never, you're a girl. Well, at that moment, I was like, what is this bullshit?
Yeah. You're like, I'm going to have something to say about this in about 20 years.
I don't know about this. So I grew up in I was very privileged to grow up with that life, but I saw the
fact you saw it from it is wild. That's unhinged of you, but in the best possible way.
Like I grew up with my dad working in this heavily male-dominated space to the point where, like, I remember being at university as well. I was studying sports journalism, and I believe her name was Shiloh Curtis, who's now involved in the AFLW, but she was my lecturer at the time, and she said to me, I would have been 20. She said to me, in 10 years, female AFL will be on TV. I even laughed. I was like, no, it won't be, because I had been conditioned that way. Even though I would have liked it to be, I was like, there's no way, because that's a world I grew up in. And yet, oh God, I've done it again. I've just gone on a rant. I've no idea what I'm talking about.
No, you were talking about masculinity, and then I said it's unhinged of you to be able to stand there and be like, something's wrong about this, but like you just went, just go. It doesn't really matter.
I've got so much to say on equality.
Yeah, I know.
It's not funny.
I know. I think that
I've got one more thing I really want to say, but I don't know how to tie it in.
No, go. Just tell me what it's about.
And you can just, it's about like AFLW, like it's just, again, equality.
Go, just go.
So like one of the biggest things with, for example, and I know for a fact you guys deal with the same thing as broadcast rights for AFL versus AFLW. Well, no one's watching it and, you know, we're not going to put it on prime time and all of this. And I believe that I read something that they were, you know, the AFLW at the moment plays 10 rounds, I believe. I think it started at like 7 maybe. And, you know, they're so grateful that every year they get one more game given to them. And then, you know, there's provisions in place that if they hit these targets with audiences and with attendees at games, then they'll be guaranteed an extra game. And so it works like that. So I think, for example, they had to hit like 3,500 crowd to clock over this one and whatever. Yet the league's putting games at 5 o'clock on a Friday and 3 p.m. on a Sunday. Now, I can categorically tell you as a parent, 5 o'clock on a Friday after school,
not a chance.
Absolutely not happening. Yeah. I am not going anywhere. If someone said, come to the beach at 5 o'clock on a Friday, I'm still not going.
Yeah, I'm not doing nothing.
So you're setting almost impossible provisions because one, everyone's at work 5 o'clock on a Friday, and two, if they're not, they're picking up their kids and their kids are ratchet tired from a week at school. So no one's going at 5 o'clock on a Friday. And guess where also we're not going? To the footy at 3 o'clock on a Sunday because we are getting ready for the school week. We are getting ready for the work week. We've had Saturday morning sport. So it's almost like they're self-sabotaging these women. They're saying, we will give you all these games
if you hit
A, B, and C, but we are going to make them so hard for you to hit.
Yeah.
And they're like, but we're still giving you the options to grow your game, but you've got to hit these.
Yeah.
5 o'clock on a fucking Friday.
Yeah, there's no way.
I'm never going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's so infuriating because I have so many friends, not only my friends, but this is the league for my children, right? This is where my daughter can play if she wants to.
Yeah.
And yet you want us to push them into Auskick and you want us to push them and you want us to bring them to your games. 5 o'clock on a fucking Friday.
There's no way.
I'm not coming.
It's impossible.
And no one's going. And so we're not hitting that target. And so my friends don't get that extra game.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally banging head against the wall. It is so frustrating. It is. And
I'd be grateful that we gave you that option. How annoyed are you as an athlete, a female athlete, to always be grateful?
I'm sick of being grateful. I am blessed. I am. And the part that hurts me is I see, like, when I first came into the league and, like, I find myself falling into this trap. My first year in the league, I didn't get paid a cent. Zero, nothing. I was living with a family friend in a really loving environment in Adelaide, and that was my first year in the league. Zero.
Yeah.
And so when I think now, and I think the first girls the league now, we've got a minimum wage. I think it's 20 grand.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm like, actually, that's so good. Look how far we've come. And then I like hear myself say it, and then I say it again, and then I say it again, and then I say it again. I'm like, oh God, like, that's not.
Yeah.
Like,
but be grateful that you've got one now.
It's wild.
Be grateful.
It's wild.
I wrote something in my book about you can be grateful and severely unsatisfied at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think I can be grateful and still want better for the girls.
Absolutely.
Like, I can be grateful but still think it's outrageous that the development players who have to be there for the same hours that I do.
Same hours as
same hours, have to do the exact same sessions. Most of the time they get roped into doing more off-court stuff because they're the rookies. They get paid nothing.
Yeah, that's wild.
Nothing.
That's really crazy. I thought they got something.
No, development players, zero.
But
$0.
Their hours are the same. And they probably, if not at times, work harder to show themselves.
The development players are the reason that you have a team. Yeah. Because most of the time you're scrimmaging against them, you're playing against them.
You need them for training.
Yeah. So you can't do anything without them.
How is that allowed?
I don't know. When I think about it, I'm like, surely
in what other job are you told you can come and have a job?
Is that internships or are they paid?
Like, why don't they call them the interns?
Literally, you have to call them an intern.
But even now, like, you can get in so much trouble for unpaid interns.
I know. I know. It's like,
wild.
It's free labor.
How is that allowed?
I don't know.
I've always said, I'm like, how do I get on a board for, but I'd just go in there and
I don't think they're ready for you.
No.
I don't think they're ready for you. No. We need you there, but they're not ready for you.
No, and that's the thing. It applies to life too. Like, people are only ready when they're ready.
Yeah, I know.
Like, you see the success that the Matildas have had.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why, because they have been invested in.
Yeah.
They have had their organisation back them.
Yeah.
And they, you know what, also they did really well, which I've been trying, you can't say these things, but I can. I've been trying to get the WNBL to pick up on this for a very long time. What Football Australia did with the Matildas and the World Cup was they didn't just target football fans.
Yeah.
They targeted everyone but football fans.
Yep.
And what does that then do? Expands your audience. You've got your football fans here, but Football Australia targeted all these people, and then all of a sudden your audience is this big.
Yep.
There was a stat, something like 75% of people who watched the World Cup either fell in love with the game or were encouraged to enroll someone in it. 75%, a third, sorry, that was wrong.
A third.
3/4 of people who watched it were influenced enough to now watch the sport, to enroll a child in it, to buy a membership. 3/4. And it's like, these other sports, stop targeting the fans because your fan base is this big.
I know.
Use broadcasters. You know, I understand you've got to have your broadcasters and your faces of the brand who know the sport. Bring other people in, though, that bring in different audiences. There's no point using the same pool of people and trying to expand something. It's like, that's where my business brain comes into it.
But that's what the NBL does such a great job of.
Like, if I want to sell more pajamas, I'm not just targeting my customers.
Yeah.
I'm targeting people who've never heard of me before, because then they become my customers.
Yes, exactly.
So my business brain.
You have to think of it like a business.
It is. I don't care. We all know it is a business. So WNBL, Netball Australia, stop targeting your fans that you have already.
Yeah.
They're there. They're there right now because they want to be there. There's not much more incentive at the moment than loving the sport and being there to support these women. Let's target a much wider audience who don't know, who don't care, and show them how great it is.
Yeah.
And that's what Football Australia did for the Matildas during the World Cup.
I think we clip that and we send that to the people that need to hear that. I want to go into the questions that were sent in.
Oh, shit. Was there really bad ones? It was
No. There was never bad ones. No, see, he got the questions. None of them were bad.
Who's she dating?
This is I'm sure that was one of them. Yeah. The Rapid Fire by Reebok section. But before, I actually forgot to give you the Reebok merch.
Do I get presents?
Yeah, you got the Reebok merch.
Oh my God,
They've got some new stores opening up. There's they've got the Chadston one, and then there's 2 more in Melbourne that have been opened up recently. One in South Wharf, and then one in, I believe, Knoxfield.
This is going to match my new hair. We've gone a bit of a caramel colour.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, I never get presents when I do these.
Yeah, so take a look out for the Instagram. I'm sure they'll make an appearance into the Rapid Fire by Reebok questions.
Petrified, but let's go.
Okay, this is an easy one. What was one of your New Year's resolutions, if you had one, for this year?
Oh my God, I've forgotten it. It was that good that I forgot it.
So good.
Caitlin, do you remember what I said? To not rely on Caitlin as much to remember things for me. Oh my God, no, I do. No.
Was your New Year's resolutions to not have them anymore?
No.
A lot of people did that this year.
Oh my God. I'm going to think of it and then we'll just add it in.
That's okay.
Because I did have one.
Do you have a favourite sport?
Oh, interesting. Well, I grew up an AFL girl. Mm-hmm. I grew up with that in my blood. Yep. Love it. I love watching professional games, women's games. No, take that out. That sounds like I said professional and then women's. Like they're different. Take that out.
That's okay.
I'll start the answer again. Well, I obviously grew up with AFL in my blood. I come from a football family, so I have watched that honestly every weekend since I was a kid. Love it. Women's, men's, local footy.
Yeah.
I even played
local footy.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, you did. You played with my cousin.
Give me Dim Sims on a Saturday on the sidelines of any local game and I am in there.
It's so good.
But I never grew up with basketball. Yeah. I was a netballer. Yeah. I never played basketball. I never watched basketball. Mm-hmm. And now I really love it. I love watching the WNBL. I love watching the NBL. I have a son now who knows so many players in the NBA. I'm like, who are you talking about? I need to.
Honestly, I don't keep up with that stuff.
No,
either,
well, kids, they teach you a lot. And apparently I'm not cool because I don't know these people. And I hear screaming from his room and he's doing these dunks and whatever. And he plays basketball. So, basketball's a really huge part of my life now.
What, if you have any particular thing, helps you get through tough times and negativity? Like, you kind of mentioned the meditation retreat thing.
Yeah, so I'm really into my meditation, but I tell you what, it's surrounding myself with good people. Mm-hmm. It's not dealing with things alone. It's talking about it. In case you haven't realised, I'm a very open book.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed to talk about my feelings or I don't really have ego when it comes to things like that. Like if I'm not okay, I'm okay with speaking about it. So I'm very lucky. I actually had a reflection the other day that someone asked me who's your best friend? I think it was Florence. And I was like, and I actually named about 10 people.
That's so good.
Right? And I was like, and she goes, you can't have 10 best friends. And I was like, well, I'd count every single one of them as like a really safe place for me and from totally different areas of my life. And I went, wow, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
That I have such
really lucky.
Strong love and support around me and it's speaking to these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And then what was the hardest thing you learned about yourself in 2023? That's a hard question. I should have read that first.
No, that's okay. Is that
in any space or kind of context, I guess?
Hardest thing I learned about myself in 2023 is I have not yet learnt enough from my past as well as I would have thought I had.
That's really well worded.
I'm not the person I thought I had turned into yet.
Yet. Because there's always space. There always is. The last question I always like to ask, and this is actually perfect for you considering like your profession and what you do. So how do you think people see you versus who you actually are? And is there a separation between the two?
How people see me, I can meet a lot of people and they're like, you're really nice. And I'm like, Yeah, I know that. What do you think I was?
What do you mean?
What?
Do I have a resting bitch face?
Sorry, I've got that much Botox it shouldn't even move.
There's no moving. I look surprised, angry, shocked. It's all the same.
Not sure where the frown is. People think, I think that's the main one. I think we've talked about it a lot today, is that you can simultaneously be this very confident, loud person, but you can suffer severe anxiety. You can have a lot of self-doubt, and you can be that squishy little teddy bear who just wants someone to love and hug her at the end of the day. And I am certainly both of those people, and I'm okay being both of those people. I will never pretend to be something I'm not. And I am certainly both of those people. Both of them exist within me, and I am proud of both of them.
On that note, we've been talking for a long time, and I could keep going. I literally have
like
to
a triple episode.
I have to stop myself. I do this often. I talk and then I can't stop. But I'm so grateful that you came on, and just we covered so much. But to have another similar energy, another similar like person that is passionate, driven, soft, fucking everything. And it's so empowering to me to feel like there are other people in the world that exist in the same realm that I do, and that also like it's a cycle. You pass things down to the people around you, but also your kids, to hear the way you raise your kids, the love that you have for other people, the passion you have for your job. You're pretty fucking amazing. And I'm really blessed that you came in and spoke to us about everything that you did. And I can't wait for people to listen. I'm excited to listen to this back. It's gonna be fun for me to listen back, because I always do, and I always learn so much from sitting across from people and picking their brains, and I just picked the fuck out of your brain. So I'm really grateful for you, and I just can't thank you enough. So thank you for coming on. This was Under the Surface, pumped by Reebok. I'm your host, Anneli Maley, and that was Sophie Cachia.